I'm back with another video, and sorry I couldn't make one on Wednesday. I had a lot of stuff going on, so it wasn't exactly viable for me to do one on Wednesday, but we're back at it today on Sunday, and you can see I'm wearing my cross necklace. I like to wear this necklace sometimes. I think it looks pretty good. But anyway, so today we're talking about King Hezekiah of Judah and the sundial. Now, I want to talk about this story, but leave a specific emphasis on God's role in the story. But also, I'm just going to talk about the story in general. So, if you know the story, you know that it doesn't say sundial, it says stairway. But we're going to get into that, into the translations of, was it a sundial in the story or was it a stairway? So, Hezekiah's illness. In those days, Hezekiah became ill and was at the point of death. The prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, I don't know, I guess Amos, went to him and said, "This is what the Lord says. Put your house in order because you are going to die. You will not recover." That's verse 1. So Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed to the Lord. "Remember, Lord, how I have walked before you faithfully and with wholehearted devotion and have done what is good in your eyes." And Hezekiah wept bitterly. And we'll get into the good that he did and how he was different than his father. Before Isaiah had left the middle court, the prophet Isaiah left the middle court, the word of God came to him. So God spoke to him as he's turning around, walking away, as he's leaving the middle court. He says, "Go back and tell Hezekiah, the ruler of my people, this is what the Lord, the God of your father David says. I have heard your prayer and seen your tears. I will heal you. On the third day from now, you will go up to the temple of the Lord. I will add 15 years to your life, and I will deliver you from this city, from the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city for my sake and for the sake of my servant David." So God says, on the third day, go up to the temple of the Lord. He's going to add 15 years to his life. So instead of him dying and him not recovering from his illness, he's going to have 15 years. And then not only does he say that, he says he will deliver him from the hand of the king of Assyria. So they were in a battle with Assyria. God says you're going to have victory, basically. And for the sake of him and his servant David. Then Isaiah said, "Prepare a poultice of figs." And they did so and applied it to the boil, and he recovered. What kind of sickness was it? I didn't research this, but it says boil, so probably something that was boils. And it was, that had boils. It was very deathly, like he was going to die. He was terminally ill. And then Isaiah says, "Get a poultice," and a poultice of figs. What is a poultice? It's essentially like a paste that you grind up and you like put it on the wound. So imagine I had an ulcer. I grind up a poultice of figs and I put it on my ulcer. That's what a poultice is. And then, let's see. Hezekiah had asked Isaiah, "What will be the sign that the Lord will heal me and that I will go up to the temple on the Lord on the third day from now?" So Hezekiah is like, "All right, Isaiah, I like what you're saying. You're speaking facts. You're speaking truth. This is a language I like to hear, right? But what is the sign that this is going to happen? What is the sign from God that this is going to happen?" Now, I think there's other parts in the Bible where people have been like, "What's the sign?" And then suddenly God strickens them with, like, they can't speak. God strickens them with muteness or something. And it's like, why right here does God not stricken him with muteness? Why does he allow him to just speak? Like, I think there was another story. I think it was Zephaniah. I think it was Zephaniah in the temple. And somebody came up to Zephaniah's like, this is going to, I think it was like, he was the father of Jesus. No, let's see. So whatever it was, there's a guy named Zephaniah. I'll correct it and you'll see it. A guy named Zephaniah. And he was like, "Lord, how can I be sure that these things you say will happen?" Then God made him mute because God's like, "Hey, don't doubt my presence. Don't doubt." But the thing is, Hezekiah here, he's not doubting. He's coming from a place of faith. He goes, "God, I believe you, but can you please show me a sign?" That was the difference. And the other one, Zephaniah is like, "God, I don't know, man. Like, come on, man. Like, what?" And you can see that the Virgin Mary asked the same question, was like, "How can I know this to be true? How can I know, whatever?" I can't remember specifically what it was, but how can I know? So what I'm trying to tell you is, it's best to come from, according to the Bible, it's best to come from a place of faith rather than a place of doubt, saying, "God, I don't believe you, man. Show me this is going to happen. I don't believe you." Like, he's not going to want to do it. But if he said, God, I believe you, man, I really do, but show me, please show me a sign, and I believe you, and I have faith that you will do it, and I just want to see a sign, you know. So he would do it to strengthen your faith, he will strengthen your faith, but not to add faith on top of your doubt, if that makes sense. Like he doesn't do it in response to doubt, but in response to faith, which is a biblical principle. So he asked for the sign, and Isaiah said, this is the Lord's sign to you, that the Lord will do what he has promised. Shall the shadow go forward 10 steps, or shall it go back 10 steps? And then he's asking, which one do you want? And it's a simple matter for the shadow to go forward 10 steps, said Hezekiah. Rather have it go back 10 steps. And I'm going to tell you what they're talking about. Then the prophet Isaiah called on the Lord, and the Lord made the shadow go back the 10 steps it had gone down the stairway of Ahaz. Ahaz is Hezekiah's father. And I was talking about how Hezekiah did a lot of good in the Lord's sight. Well, Ahaz did a lot of bad. Ahaz was the king of Judah, ruler of Judah, but he had done a lot of bad. Like he had committed idolatry, and essentially he took gold from the temple to give to a foreign king. God was basically, you can imagine how God would feel, because gold in the temple is like God's belongings. It's different from the tithes. The tithing is, the grain, the oil, and the wine. Those are the tithes, like the food. But the gold, it was God's thing. It was his. And essentially Hezekiah's father, Ahaz, took God's gold and used it to do other stuff with it. And he's not supposed to do that. It's God's. And he demonstrated a huge lack of faith. That's an example. Another example is his idolatry, setting up idol statues and getting fascinated by those sorts of things. Now, that's what he did, and then Hezekiah took over and pretty much reversed that. So Hezekiah did what was right in the Lord's sight, and this is what he's saying is like, dude, I have followed you, I have done right, and he had done double, triple right. He did not just do right, he reversed the wrongs of his father. So he blatantly did right in front of God, and he says, please don't let me die. I have done right before you. And God's like, you know what, you have, and I'm gonna add 15 years to your life. I'm gonna heal you. And you can go up to the temple 3 days from now, and I will hand you, and I will, basically give you victory over the Assyrians, and you will be healed. Excuse me. So what is the stairway of Ahaz? So at the end, it said the shadow on the stairway of Ahaz. What is that? Some believe that some translations believe there's a specific Greek word, or no, not Greek, Hebrew word. And I'll pop it up right here. And I believe it's malah. And that can translate to sundial or stairway. So what is the stairway of Ahaz? What is the sundial of Ahaz? Well, if it says of Ahaz, you can assume that Ahaz owned it, right? But so I'll give you my interpretation. First, I think that a lot of scholars would call it a sundial because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for a shadow to be on some stairs and then it moves up or down to tell the time. My personal interpretation, and the reason why they use stair in this specific Bible verse, steps and stairways, because in other parts in the Bible, it uses the same exact Hebrew word to describe a stair or a step. I think probably what happened. So when I did research, Hezekiah was in the palace, basically the palace of Ahaz. He was in the palace, which I don't know if it's called the palace of Ahaz, but I know the stairway has his father's name. So he was in the palace. He was deathly ill. I think what is probably happening is Ahaz is probably laying on his bed or sitting on some stairs or something, looking at a set of stairs. And he's looking at the stairs, and Isaiah's next to him. And then he says, just as a matter of faith, not that the stair would tell time, but that he would look at it and see, well, if it goes forward or back 10 steps. Like, I think Isaiah was probably like, well, here's a sign from the Lord. The shadow, if the shadow moves back, like that kind of thing. It may have been for telling time. It may have been a sundial. It may have been something else, but I'm not a scholar. But my personal idea, they were sitting in the room. Hezekiah is in the room. As Isaiah looks out the window, he's like, bam, there's some stairs. Hezekiah says, great, I want it to go back because to go forward, it's easier. I want it to go back. Now, how could this have happened? Some scholars say that time had actually moved itself. So the earth had spun its rotation and went backwards. I think it probably was a cloud. Maybe there was a cloud hanging over the stairs and God just moved the cloud back. So I don't know if you can see the shadow on my hand. Can you see the shadow? But I think probably what happened is there's a cloud and then that just sat there for the whole interaction. Then It goes like that. Or it was the rotation watch. You see how it's like they believe the Earth's rotation had gone backwards. But I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that's the story with the sundial.